Good afternoon. So by the year 2030, it has been predicted that artificial intelligence will outperform humans. Okay, so are we ready for this? Well, it seems like we've been ready for this for a long time, okay? So starting from Sentient HAL in 2001, A Space Odyssey, to self-aware Sunny in iRobot, we have been romanticizing the idea of machine intelligence and free will for a long time, right? So what's different today is the fact that we actually believe that some of this is going to be a possibility in our reality, and that advances in AI technology are actually going to catch up with science fiction. So today, the bots, they're everywhere. We have smarter phones, we have smarter watches, we have smarter homes, home appliances, and even smarter cars. But are we as consumers any smarter today than we were 15 years back? Let's think about that question for a second. Suboptimal decisions for food, homes, health insurance underscore a variety of our nation's most critical problems today. So are we smarter? Why is this the problem? Okay? When we have access to so much information at our fingertips, we literally just have to click a button to get the goods and bads about every product that we buy. And yet we're making poorer decisions. Why? Research has shown that while there is increasing amount of information available to make decisions, we're also time-starved as consumers. We have a decreasing amount of time to process all of that information and reach a decision. Research has also shown that because of that increasing, widening gap between the amount of information and the amount of time, we're actually making poorer quality decisions. So what has AI done to solve this decision problem? We have all encountered recommendation systems on Amazon, right? You go there to buy one product and you'll end up buying 3. And that's because Amazon was able to predict the next 2 items that you needed. So that's great. That's predicting choices for you, okay? That's saving time, making you buy more. Retailer bottom line, awesome. We've also seen that a lot of big tech companies are in this race to bring their own digital assistant or chatbot to your home so they can answer your questions. So you can ask Alexa, I ask Alexa, which is the nearest store where I can find boys' Nike shoes? And Alexa has a decent answer for that, okay? But does that help us make better decisions as consumers, smarter decisions? Let's think about that again, because this is all helping us predict choice. But is that really supporting our process of decision making? Is it retrieving information from this vast pool of data that we need for that precise moment for making that informed decision? Not really. So that's the decision problem that we have situated ourselves and our research in. We want to make that informed decision on the go when they're multitasking, be able to get them the data that they need to stay informed to make that decision. That involves a big paradigm shift, okay? I love Jarvis, okay? And we just think he's really intelligent, and that's what we're going after, okay? So for decision aids to meaningfully support our process of decision making, they need to be an omnipresent decision companion. They need to move with us, with our technology, our wearables. They need to talk to us. So we're seeing a paradigm shift, and we see that this paradigm shift is really necessary for AI to really support consumer decision making. The biggest paradigm shift that we have implemented in our project is moving from predicting the choice to predicting the decision making process, because it's not about the choice, it's about the process, okay? So if we need to predict process, we need to understand process. And we need to create a deep understanding of process. How do we create this understanding? Our approach has been to look at theory, delve ourselves in theory, love theory, but also understand experiential decision making at the consumer level. Theory tells us that people use multiple decision strategies to reach a choice. People who are motivated to make decisions, who are motivated to process, who have the ability to process over time, they use more complex strategies such as weighted adding or elimination by aspects to reach a rational choice. People who don't have the motivation or the time or any other factors may use simpler strategies such as lexicographic or satisficing. But do consumers actually use these strategies when they make decisions? We wanted to answer that question. So we conducted store simulations where we set up a simulation home improvement store at Auburn University's RFID lab. We invited consumers to our store to make purchases for a fairly mundane product, AC filters. I'll talk to you later about why we chose that. And we had our research assistant be a customer service associate who talked to consumers through their decision-making process. We recorded all of this decision dialogue just to understand and answer two questions. Do consumers use different strategies when they reach a decision or choice? And can their language reveal what strategy they're using? We found some really interesting results. We found that consumers do use many different strategies. For example, they start with a strategy such as a lexicographic strategy. At 69% of consumers start with that strategy at their initial phases of decision making. But only 12% of consumers use it at the final phase. So they actually shift from a lex and a simpler strategy to a more complex strategy such as weighted adding or elimination by aspects at the final stages of decision making. What we importantly found, without getting into too much detail here, what we importantly found is that consumers use multiple strategies in making a single decision, and they're constantly shifting between multiple strategies. So the problem is no longer about predicting one strategy, it's about predicting the shifts in moving between strategies. So really, decision aids, or as we call it, MODA, mobile decision aids, MODA, the mobile Yoda, they really need to be adaptive. They need to understand, when did you shift from here to here? How did your constructive decision-making process evolve from point A to point B? They have to be really intelligent, okay? So how do we go about creating this intelligence? Through our studies, we learned that language is a powerful tool to infer human thinking. When we talk to our students, we kind of understand, okay, at what level is their processing? And we can tailor information to them at that level. And we wanted MODA to be able to do the same things. We found through our studies that the language that people use tells us a lot about how likely are they going to be to process that decision deeply. How likely are they going to be to put an effort in that decision? So if a consumer comes in saying, I want an AC filter, but I don't know what I want, then we know that that person is not going to be likely to think hard. Language also tells us what kind of knowledge people have about the decision object. So for example, if we have a consumer coming in and saying, I want an AC filter with allergen defense, we know that that person is talking at the attribute level, has a fairly abstract knowledge about this product category. Another person comes in and says, I want a 3M AC filter. Then we know that person is at an alternative level and it's fairly concrete. So we can map people on an elaboration and a construal continuum based on the language that they use. And our theorizing suggested that we can actually predict the decision strategy that they're going to use based on these two continuum. So we developed the human elaboration object construal contingency decision model, because decision making is not linear. It's inherently contingent. When you ask somebody, how do you make a decision, they're going to say, it depends. It depends on who's making the decision, me or my husband. It depends on how much time I have. It depends on how much the product costs. It depends on what the risks are. So it depends on many different contingencies. The two contingencies, theoretical contingencies that we picked were a human elaboration and object construal. And based on these contingencies, we can predict the decision-making strategy at any given time based on the language that is being used. We validated this model through observational studies, and we found that it actually does predict the decision-making strategy observed in consumers to a high degree of accuracy. Okay? So where are we now? What are our next steps, and what is beyond? We've completed the science, or we've developed the science behind this decision aid. We're now in phase 3, which is MODA development. Our immediate next step is to test our decision aids in the real world setting to see whether they actually benefit and help consumers make smarter decisions. What I'm really excited about, though, is the broader impacts of this work. If you think about it, we are not consumers just in the retail setting. We're consumers in every aspect of our life. Whether we're buying health insurance, we're buying a financial product, or we're choosing educational services. We're consumers in every aspect. And so the potential for us is to help consumers make smarter decisions in all contexts beyond retail. And that's the goal for the next steps of this project. I'd like to conclude by thanking my collaborators who have been with me since the inception of this research program, Dr. Risa Kwan at College of Human Sciences in Auburn, Dr. Juan Gilbert at Computer and Information Science in University of Florida, our past and present graduate students in both our labs here in Auburn and Florida. And I also want to really thank Justin Patton, the director of the RFID lab, and the advisory board members of the lab who have helped us set up the home improvement simulation store. We couldn't have done any of this without funding from internal and external agencies. Last but not least, I want to thank you all for being here today and the organizers for giving me this opportunity to come here and talk. Thank you.